Hello, friend. Welcome to Pure Speak English. I'm Ben.
And I'm Crystal. It's so wonderful to have you here with us today.
You know, Crystal, I've been thinking about something all morning. Something that I know affects so many of our listeners.
What's that, Ben?
Confidence. Or actually, the lack of confidence. Specifically, the fear of speaking English out loud.
Oh, Ben, that's such an important topic. I think almost every English learner has felt that fear at some point. That moment when you want to say something, but the words just won't come out.
Exactly. Your heart starts beating faster, your palms get sweaty, your mind goes completely blank, and then you just stay quiet.
And afterwards, you feel disappointed in yourself. You think, why didn't I just speak? Why am I so afraid?
But here's what I want everyone listening to know right now. If you've ever felt this way, you are not alone. You are not broken, and you are definitely not a failure.
Not at all. In fact, feeling nervous about speaking is completely normal. It's actually a sign that you care. It means this matters to you.
And today, we're going to talk about how to build real, lasting confidence. Not fake confidence, not pretending, but real, deep confidence that grows from the inside.
So wherever you are right now, maybe you're walking, maybe you're at home, maybe you're on a bus, just take a moment to relax. Let your shoulders drop, take a deep breath in, and breathe out.
Because this episode is not just about learning English. It's about believing in yourself. It's about finding your voice. And it's about speaking with courage, even when you feel afraid.
So let's begin this journey together.
Ben, I want to start by sharing something personal with you, something I've never really talked about on this podcast before.
I'm listening, Ben.
When I first learned Spanish, I was terrified to speak, absolutely terrified. I studied grammar for months. I learned hundreds of vocabulary words. I listened to podcasts every single day. But when it came time to actually speak, I froze.
What were you afraid of?
I was afraid of sounding stupid. I was afraid people would laugh at me. I was afraid that I'd make a mistake and everyone would think, wow, this guy doesn't know anything.
That's such a heavy fear to carry.
It was. And because of that fear, I avoided speaking for almost a year. A whole year. Can you imagine? I was learning Spanish, but I wasn't speaking it.
So what changed? What finally helped you find the courage to speak?
It was actually a very simple moment. I was in a small cafe in Barcelona. The waiter came to my table and asked me something in Spanish, and I understood him. I knew exactly what he was asking, but my fear kicked in. I was about to just point at the menu instead of speaking.
But you didn't?
No. Something inside me said, Ben, if you don't speak now, you'll regret it. So I took a breath and I spoke. My pronunciation wasn't perfect. My grammar probably had mistakes, but I spoke. And you know what happened?
What happened?
He smiled at me. He understood me. He brought me exactly what I ordered. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. People don't care if you make mistakes. They just appreciate that you're trying.
That's beautiful, Ben. Because I think so many learners imagine this terrible scenario in their heads. They imagine people judging them, laughing at them. But in reality, most people are kind. Most people are patient.
Exactly. The fear is almost always bigger than the reality.
You know, Ben, I had a similar experience, but mine was a little different.
Tell me about it.
When I was learning French, I wasn't afraid of making mistakes. I was actually okay with that. But I was afraid of not being understood. I was afraid that I'd speak and people would just look at me with confusion, and then I'd have to repeat myself over and over.
And that stopped you from speaking?
It did for a while. I would rehearse sentences in my head before saying them out loud. I would practice the pronunciation again and again. And by the time I was ready to speak, the moment had already passed.
Oh, I know that feeling. The conversation moves on and your chance is gone.
Exactly. And then I'd feel frustrated with myself. I'd think, why do I overthink everything? Why can't I just be spontaneous?
So how did you overcome that?
I made a promise to myself. I promised that for one whole week, I would say every sentence that came to my mind, even if it wasn't perfect, even if my pronunciation was off. I would just speak.
That's a brave promise.
It was scary at first, but by the end of that week, something amazing happened. I stopped caring so much about perfection. I started caring more about connection, and my confidence grew naturally.
That's such an important lesson, because confidence doesn't come from being perfect. Confidence comes from being willing to be imperfect.
Yes, confidence comes from trying again and again, even when it's hard.
So let's talk about this directly with our listeners. If you're someone who struggles with confidence when speaking English, let's explore why that might be. And more importantly, let's talk about what you can do about it.
I think the first reason people lack confidence is because they compare themselves to native speakers.
Oh, that's a big one.
They hear someone speaking English fluently, quickly, with perfect pronunciation, and they think, I'll never sound like that, so why even try?
But the truth is, you don't need to sound like a native speaker. That's not the goal. The goal is to communicate. The goal is to express your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings. And you can do that even with an accent, even with mistakes.
Absolutely. Some of the most successful English speakers in the world have strong accents. They make grammar mistakes, but they speak with confidence, and people understand them perfectly.
So if you've been comparing yourself to native speakers, I want you to stop right now. That comparison is not helpful. It's not fair to yourself.
Instead, compare yourself to who you were 6 months ago. Compare yourself to who you were last year. Are you better than you were before? That's what matters.
Progress, not perfection, always.
The second reason people lack confidence is because they don't practice speaking enough.
Yes, and I think this is the biggest reason, honestly.
You can study grammar for hours. You can memorize 1,000 words. But if you don't practice speaking, you won't feel confident when it's time to speak.
It's like learning to swim. You can read books about swimming, you can watch videos about swimming, but until you actually get in the water, you won't know how to swim.
Exactly. Speaking is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice, regular practice.
But here's the problem. Many learners don't have anyone to practice with. They don't have English-speaking friends. They don't have a teacher. So they think, I can't practice.
But that's not true. You can practice alone. You can practice by speaking to yourself.
And I know that sounds strange to some people, but speaking to yourself is one of the most powerful ways to build confidence.
It really is, because when you speak to yourself, there's no judgment, there's no pressure. You can make as many mistakes as you want, and no one will know.
And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The words start to flow more easily. Your pronunciation improves. Your confidence grows. The third reason people lack confidence is because they focus on what they don't know instead of what they do.
Oh, that's so true.
They think, I don't know this word, I don't know this grammar rule, I don't know how to say this correctly. And all that focus on lack makes them feel small.
But what if we flipped that? What if instead you focused on what you do know?
Yes, you know hundreds of English words, you know basic grammar, you know how to make sentences. That's amazing.
And here's something important. You don't need to know everything to communicate. Even native speakers don't know every word in their language.
Exactly. If you don't know a word, you can describe it. You can use simpler words. You can say, I don't know the exact word, but I mean, and then explain.
And that's completely okay. In fact, that's real communication. Real communication is not about showing off your vocabulary. It's about making yourself understood.
So shift your focus. Celebrate what you know. Build on what you know. And trust that you know enough.
Now, Ben, let's talk about something practical. Let's talk about specific, simple things our listeners can do today to start building confidence.
I love that. Let's make this actionable.
The first thing I recommend is this: start small. Don't try to have a 1-hour conversation in English if you've never spoken before. Start with one sentence.
One sentence?
Yes, just one. Wake up in the morning and say out loud in English, "Today is a new day." That's it, just one sentence.
And the next day, maybe you say 2 sentences. And the day after that, 3 sentences.
Exactly. You're building a habit. You're training your brain to be comfortable with the sound of your own voice speaking English.
I love that, because it's not overwhelming. Anyone can do one sentence.
The second thing is to record yourself speaking. I know this might sound uncomfortable, but it's so helpful.
Why is it helpful?
Because when you record yourself, you can listen back and hear what you actually sound like. Most of the time, you'll realize you sound much better than you thought.
And even if you hear mistakes, that's okay. You can learn from them. You can practice again and improve.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect in the recording, it's about being aware. Awareness leads to improvement.
The third thing I recommend is read out loud every day.
Oh, reading out loud is amazing for building confidence.
It is, because when you read out loud, you're practicing pronunciation, intonation, rhythm, and fluency all at the same time.
And you can choose what to read. You can read a simple news article, you can read a children's book, you can even read the script of this podcast.
Yes, and when you